Theodore. He's a tugboat and a friendly tugboat too. A friendly tugboat too. Oh, Theodore likes to do the things that friendly tugboats do. Pushing and a pulling in the great big harbor, in the great big world is so much fun. So many brand new things to discover. Waking with the sun, gotta get the job done. Oh, Theodore and Emily, Theodore, Hank and George, and the harbor master too.
So we once again open up on a very busy day in the Big Harbor, and this day was especially busy as all the tugs were getting ready for the arrival of the Queen Stephanie. Definitely been a long time since we've seen her. Everyone was marking off a path for her and setting up a dock where she'd be staying. Wasn't she somewhere near Willie's Island the last time she was here? Why are they docking her way past Benjamin? Maybe because she might be in the way of any other work going on while she's there. Seems as good a guess as any. But at the dock where she'd be staying was home to another R.Boat. Yes, the same cranky, whiny, gloomy little rowboat from way back in Season 1.
Oh, what's going on now? Asked R.Boat in a kind of rickety little voice. The jumbo barge began to scoop up mud from the bottom of the harbor.
We're making the water deeper here,
replied George. No, it's deep enough for me, said the rowboat. You really shouldn't go to the trouble. No one usually does.
It's not for you, replied George. The Queen Stephanie ocean liner is coming to visit. Tomorrow. She's going to stay here.
But I live here, said R.Boat.
Yep, still dreary and gloomy, I see. Guess some things never change, do they? Also, doesn't it seem a little weird that R.Boat now suddenly lives in the Big Harbor? Last time I checked, Theodore and Hank left him near a sandy beach by the same rickety little dock. So how the hell did he end up all the way over here? It's also strange to see someone like George interact with R.Boat when, again, Theodore and Hank were the only two who knew about him. And speaking of Theodore, he soon came along as he was to take care of R.Boat while the Queen was staying. Weird. You'd think he'd be having a bitch fit about not being able to bring Her Majesty in, as that's kind of what happened last time. But no, this time he didn't. So Theodore then tied his tow rope onto R.Boat, and the two began to head off to look for another dock.
Where are we going? Asked R.Boat. We have to look for a new place for you to stay while the Queen is here, said Theodore. Oh, I like to stay in my dock, groaned the rowboat. Travel makes me seasick. Oh, you'll get your home back soon, Theodore said, trying to make R.Boat feel better. And it'll be bigger and better than ever. Oh, I suppose everything will turn out all right, said R.Boat. And again, probably not.
What? Travel makes you seasick? Then why did Theodore bust his bumpers looking for a new home for you all those episodes ago? You were technically traveling with him, were you not? Yeah, R.Boat is such a swell guy to be around, right, guys? Oh, do I feel so sorry for Theodore again. And before any of you say what we all think the mod looks like, let's try to be adults here, people. So eventually, Theodore found a new dock where they'd be staying, and R.Boat continued to gripe about everything.
Are there any clams? Asked R.Boat. Probably, replied Theodore. Clams. The worst. Keep you up all night with their clapping. Oh, the water's cooler here than my old dock. Oh, I catch colds easily. It really was an enormous sneeze for such a small rowboat. Well, just then, Hank floated along. Hello, he shouted. We're just finishing getting ready for the Queen. Where are you going with that dock? Oh, I'm just moving this old dock to make more room for the Queen Stephanie, replied Hank. But, well, that's my dock, said R.Boat. Oh, I told you so. Nothing good ever happens to me. Well, Theodore didn't know what to say. It seemed the gloomy little rowboat was determined to be, well, gloomy.
Love the little season 1 references they threw in there. But oh my God, does he ever stop? It's just one little thing after the other. Seriously, this guy is never satisfied. How the hell has Theodore not given up on him by now? But that would be going against his caring nature. Surprised he even still has any patience left. And he continued to stay with the little rowboat through the remainder of the day into the night, and for a while all seemed to be quiet and peaceful in the big harbor.
All except for a kind of rickety little sniffling sound. Theodore looked down and saw that it was our boat.
What's the matter?
Said Theodore. Oh, I just thought of another thing. No one will know where to visit me now that I've moved. Well, then again, no one ever visited me anyway.
Don't you have any friends?
Said Theodore. None. Do you have any friends?
Sure,
Said Theodore.
Maybe we could be friends.
Said Theodore. Oh, no one bigger ever wants to be my friend, replied R.Boat. And everyone's bigger than me.
Would you like to tell stories?
Asked Theodore. I could tell you about the last time the Queen Stephanie visited the big harbor, and I helped bring her in. Well, said R.Boat, I suppose I can tell you about the time a container ship almost ran over me.
Aw, well now I feel kind of bad for R.Boat. His whole life and he's never had one friend? I mean, I can kind of see why, but that's honestly really sad. Hell, I thought he might have considered Theodore a friend by this point, since he did do most of the work finding him a new home. Well, guess not. Now, in terms of these stories, however, Theodore, why you gotta lie? Technically, the last time the Queen visited was way back in Season 2. The very first episode of the season, mind you. And if I recall correctly, you pitched a bitch because you screwed your whistle up and didn't get to bring her in. You only ever did it one other time, and that was in Season 1. Get your facts together, my boy. And to continue on from what seemed like a very morbid story by R.Boat, both boats were soon asleep. And as the new morning broke out over the harbor, they were soon woken up by the Queen, who was just arriving.
The golden morning light glinted off her 1,001 windows and seemed to make her sparkle like a great diamond floating on the water. Isn't she beautiful? Gasped Theodore, who was feeling a little shivery deep inside. Theodore had never seen the little rowboat look so, well, little.
What's the matter?
He asked. Oh, I was just thinking, well, how nice it would be to meet a big ship like that, said R.Boat. Well, why don't we go over and say hello, suggested Theodore.
Oh, the Queen would never even notice a little boat like me,
replied R.Boat.
No, you go ahead.
I'll just float here and watch my wood rot. Well, without another word, Theodore set off straight for the Queen. All alone again, R.Boat sighed to himself. As usual.
I'm gonna keep on saying it. The Queen Stephanie is truly a magnificent sight. It's also nice to see R.Boat taking an interest in meeting such a big, beautiful ship. But of course, he'd rather just sit on the sidelines whilst everyone else has fun. You know, when you really think about it, remember when Theodore said he never thought the Queen would ever notice his whistle? And now look at R.Boat saying that the Queen would never even notice a small boat like him. Huh. I'm sensing a similarity between these two. So once Theodore floated over to greet Her Majesty, she noticed that something was on his mind.
Theodore, you seem a bit quiet today. Is everything all right?
Oh, yes,
replied Theodore.
well, there is one thing.
Yes, Theodore, said the Queen.
Well, I have this friend,
Said Theodore. I'd like to meet him, said the Queen right away.
Well, he's a very small friend,
Theodore went on. Sometimes small friends can be really big friends. Oh, said Theodore. I never thought about that. Where does your friend live? Asked the Queen. Well, actually, replied Theodore, he lives right here. I see, said the Queen.
That is true. Sometimes the very smallest of people can turn out to be the biggest of friends. That may even apply to someone like gloomy little R.Boat. And even after all that annoyance, Theodore was still kind enough to consider R.Boat as a friend. That is true dedication on his part. And with that said, he then told R.Boat that the Queen was really interested in meeting him. And while the little rowboat was hesitant at first, he soon warmed up to the idea, and both boats went over to see her. Turns out, R.Boat was about to find out that he and the Queen had a lot more in common, including a very similar gripe.
I understand you and I have a lot in common, said the Queen, looking down at R.Boat. We do? Said R.Boat. Yes, we do, continued the Queen. We both like this dock a lot. Yes, said R.Boat sadly. The thing I really like about it is no clams. Well, Theodore couldn't believe it. Talking about something as small as clams with the Queen. Clams, said the Queen. Oh, yes. Oh, they're the worst. Oh, they keep you up all night with their clapping.
Ha! Who would have thought that these two would have had a conversation about clams of all things? And just like that, they instantly clicked. It's nice to know that all it really takes to start friendships is finding those key similarities. Kind of makes you wonder what else these two have in common. Hey, for all we know, the Queen could have told R.Boat the story of how she got stuck in Season 1. And maybe R.Boat could have told her that little morbid story of how he was almost run over. We'll never know. And having talked the whole day away, by the following morning it was once again time for Her Majesty to leave.
Goodbye, Your Majesty, whistled Theodore. Please come and visit us again soon. I will, Theodore, called the Queen. Goodbye. And then the greatest, grandest ocean liner in the world was gone. Theodore sure was happy he got to say goodbye to Queen Stephanie. At first, he thought he really should stay with R.Boat. But the Queen took care of that. You see, Her Majesty had given her new friend, R.Boat, a brand new home in the greatest, grandest place of all. Well, a pretty great and grand place. Floating right up there in the royal swimming pool. Oh, well, this is gonna be great, shouted R.Boat. Then again, probably not. Goodbye, called Theodore.
And that concludes R.Boat and the Queen. Well, compared to something like Homesick Rowboat, I think this episode is 100 times better. It's a very sweet story with what I believe has a very heartfelt message. There are sad individuals out there in the world, and sometimes all it takes to make them happy is to show a little kindness and maybe offer up your friendship. This, my friends, is exactly what Theodore demonstrates. As we do see him get annoyed with R.Boat's complaints, he very well could have just up and left R.Boat on his own. However, he stuck it out to the end like a true friend does. And remember this, not once did Theodore complain himself about not being able to bring in the Queen like last time, instead stepping up to take care of R.Boat. I believe this episode definitely showed how much Theodore has started to mature as a character, whilst also showing how much of a loyal and dedicated friend he really is. And speaking of friends, once again, viewers are reintroduced to our gloomy little friend, R.Boat, who oddly enough, isn't that annoying in this episode. Sure, he does whine and gripe about a few little things, but nothing like how he was in Homesick Rowboat. In fact, we get to see a much more sensitive side to him, knowing that he lost his home unintentionally to the Queen, and all he really wanted was a friend. And in the end, he ended up with not only a brand new home in the Queen's swimming pool, but 2 new friends. How nice. Visuals for the most part are pretty much the same, other than our new locations, R.Boat's dock, and the dock that Theodore and R.Boat share. And the music, while we do hear the same old Harbour ditties, we do get to hear R.Boat's gloomy theme, the Queen's theme, and the sad piece that plays when Theodore comforts R.Boat in the night. And whilst this is R.Boat's final appearance in the show, now that he has a new traveling companion and a home, who knows? Maybe he'll learn to enjoy himself and maybe not be so gloomy all the time. Then again, probably not. Next episode is Hank and the Nightlight.
I suppose I can tell you about the time a container ship almost ran over me.
This is a family show.